Hit toward third. Castro has it. Spins. Fires. A perfect game! Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia.
Line drive, right center field, base hit.
Ground ball over the mound. Waiting for it. Muncy, he booted it. One runner's in. Here comes Swing, the throw. Save! Harper hits one in the air. Left center field. Back it goes. Harper, the swing of his life. Fastball hits the left. It is long gone.
And Hamels with a 3-2 pitch. Swing and a high fly ball. Deep center field. Herrera back on the track. And did he make the catch? He fell down and he's got.
Here's the strike by Robinson. The 3-0 pitch. Swing and long drive. There it is. Number 500. The career 500th home run.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bell Smashers podcast. This is episode 19, and I'm your co-host, Jen.
And I'm Kylie.
And Haley is at an event this evening while we're recording, so we will see her next time probably. But it's my pleasure to introduce our special guest for this week, a prominent figure on Phillies Twitter. Her handle is at Philadelphia. If you haven't seen her already, what are you doing? Go follow her. She's also a sports writer and editor, and I'm very especially excited because she's our first female guest. And as you all know, we are an all-female podcast. So welcome, Lauren Amour.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you so much for being on with us. Yeah, we obviously have a lot of questions and things that we want to talk about with you. But first, I'm going to toss it over to Kylie for our little special message.
Okay. We are brought to you by Fired Up Sports and Manscaped. We appreciate both of you guys, and Manscaped just released their hedge trimmer kit, which has a whole bunch of stuff. And I mean, they are literally your one-stop shop for grooming needs from head to toe, literally. So use code BELLSMASH at checkout for 20% off and free shipping.
All right. Yeah. Again, check out Manscaped. We love them. Use that code to take advantage of it. It's a great deal.
The irony is hilarious.
Yes, the irony. Again, all-female podcast sponsored by Manscaped. It's pretty great, right, Lauren?
I was thinking that actually because I saw with one of your podcasts before that was like the sponsor, and I was like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, we love it. I think it makes it even better.
Yeah, because I think I've seen their commercials like on TV.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And and we've talked about this before, but they don't just have like the beard trimmer and things like that. There's like a toiletry bag and things that you can use. I know. Yeah. So yeah, it's not exclusively for males. But yeah, to get us started, Lauren, for those who don't know you or don't follow
from that.
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know you or follow you yet, can you just share a little bit about your background and how you got to this point in your career?
Well, it all goes back to when I was 9 years old.
Love that. It does for all of us.
Yeah.
And there was, this Phillies team that ended up winning the World Series. So, I mean, I just during the 2008 season was when I kind of started to like fall in love with baseball, fall in love with the Phillies. Brad Lidge was my favorite Philly at the time. He still will always be my favorite Philly just because of everything he meant to that team specifically. But anyway, so my love for baseball and sports and the Phillies kind of started there, and it just eventually sort of turned into a career path for me because I realized it's something I've always been the most passionate about. Um, I think I kind of stepped away from it a little bit during like high school, but then it kind of makes sense because that's when the Phillies were. That was a dark time period. But
Very.
once I went to college and was like, oh, what do I want to do with my life? I thought sports was what I wanted to do, going into sports and like sports content creation. So I got a degree in sports media. So that is, it's taken me to a bunch of different places so far. And I had a lot of great opportunities in college. Was involved with I went to Rider University, so I was involved with the Rider baseball team. I wrote about the women's volleyball team there. And then when I graduated, I wrote for The Good Fight a little bit. I was the editor for Inside the Phillies for about a year. And now I'm with Yardbarker, which is a sports news syndicate. So now I kind of focus on all sports, but I still produce the Phillies Focus newsletter because I feel like I still have to talk about the Phillies in some capacity. And I also still have my Twitter.
Yes, we love it.
Love it.
So yeah, it's been I've had a lot of good opportunities so far and met a lot of cool people, and gotten to talk to a lot of cool people too. So yeah, it's been good so far.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for
I
sharing.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like I just kind of started my Twitter on like a whim and just kind of started giving my own Phillies takes, and suddenly people started following me and liking them. So that was interesting. It was surprising, and 9-year-old me would think I'm cool. So that's all that matters to me.
I love that. I think same for 9-year-old me. And same for 9-year-old
Yeah.
Kylie.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we should
We all would have been friends.
Oh my God, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's no doubt.
I completely agree. I think we're already vibing. I mean, Kylie and I, we already know we vibe well with any Phillies fan, really.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's weird because I've always had, friends that weren't into sports, which is perfectly fine. I mean, like what you do, you like what you like. But I've always been kind of the one person that likes sports, likes Philadelphia sports. So whenever I can find, I'm trying to, find a group of people, and being able to connect with people through Twitter has been awesome because I don't feel like my family is, they're big sports people, which is a big reason why I'm such a big sports person. But outside of that, I don't really have a group of friends that all goes to games or something like that. So
yeah,
it's cool to connect with other people.
We can relate to that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So, and I have shared this before, but Kylie, Haley, and I, we all met on Twitter, just talking as Phillies fans. And so that's how this podcast happened. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Well, again, there's a lot for us to talk about. This week has been eventful.
Emotional roller coaster.
It has.
Emotional roller coaster that started on Monday when the Phillies released Mark Appel. And for those who are listening and don't know, he is a friend of our podcast because he came on. He was our first Phillies player to come on the show. If you haven't listened to it, please do, episode 13, because we just
you have the episode number.
I wrote it. I didn't know off the top of my head, but
I know.
I want people to be able to find it, episode 13 with Mark Appel, because we talked to him, of course, about pitching and baseball, but also just about life and who he is as a person. And so above everything else, he's just such an amazing person. And so he deserves like the world. Everyone keeps supporting him. Social media,
he's still like gonna do so many cool things. Like he's just such a genuine cool dude. Like and
absolutely.
When I was with Inside the Phillies still, you know, he did I think a couple interviews with us. And he's just I mean, the Phillies were lucky to have him in the organization for a year. Well, it was longer than a year, but for him to be able to make his like debut with us,
it
was such a cool moment. I mean, aside from like all the postseason stuff last year, just like him making his debut was a really special moment.
It was, and so we talked about that with him too. We covered a lot. But yes, like you were saying, he's just like such a nice and genuine person, and he's a very gifted storyteller. So he just launched his blog. So everyone, if you're listening, go to markapella.com, subscribe, because he's going to keep sharing.
Do yourself the favor.
Yeah, do yourself a favor, as Kylie just said. He's already shared a little bit, but he's going to plan to talk about being released and just, you know, the grief that he's going through right now. How am I getting through this without crying? It's a miracle, because I'm sad for him and like for us. I actually wore, this is my McCutcheon shirt, which is 22, obviously, but I wore it for Mark. But yeah, so just wanted to, he knows how much we support him and love him because we tell him all the time. So, but everyone else who's listening, please just continue to.
The release, like when he got released, it was sad, but it was, I guess I also wasn't surprised because of like the thread that he posted. It, you know, it seems like it was coming, but it's
apparently he didn't know though.
Yeah, he's been tweeting a lot, of course, but I saw one of them where he said it was a complete coincidence, which is kind of eerie.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I didn't see that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, you know, if he didn't ask for the release, like I thought he'd still be able to find a role. But
me too.
I mean, he's gonna do great things anyway, so
exactly
he will be fine.
I mean, he wants to keep playing, so hopefully another team picks him up. Regardless, like everyone has said already, he's gonna do like such amazing things. He's already impacted so many people with, and I told him this on the pod, like on our episode, just sharing about what he's been through. You know, it's, you never know who needs to read that, right? And like it's rare for a professional athlete to be that emotionally vulnerable, but it's important.
Yeah, I mean, think about just like most athlete interviews. They're like, "Yep, yeah, that was," you know, they kind of just like regurgitate.
They're surface level.
Yeah, and I get it. You know, like they have to say like certain things, or they can't say certain things to like media people. Like I understand, but it's like refreshing when they actually give like an informed like answer, and you're like, wow, like it's so cool, and he's exactly that type of person. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So
for sure. You know what the worst part about this whole thing was?
What?
So I was just in Clearwater, and I was at the game on Monday, and I'm banned on my main account. Whole different story. But so I was literally about to tweet on my backup account. I was literally about, because I saw that Derek Hall wasn't in the lineup to start. He ended up playing, but he wasn't in the starting lineup. And I was like really bummed because I wanted to see one or both of Mark Capella and Derek Hall play because they were on our podcast. So I was like, I really want to see them play. And Hall has been having a phenomenal spring training. So like, I wanted to see one of them at least. And so I saw that Hall wasn't playing. And so I was literally about to hit send, saying, if I don't see Mark Capella today, I'm going to be very upset. And before I hit send, I got that tweet.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Literally, as I was about to hit send, I got that tweet. So I was like, oh,
and
that was my day.
Yeah, the three of us were Kylie, myself, and Haley, we were all texting when we saw the news. I might have said that already. Because we were very sad. But that's another point we should make is that, so the week after we interviewed Mark, we had Derek Hall on the show, and it wouldn't have happened without Mark. Like he talked to D Hall and like put in a really good word for us. So again, we already loved him, but we'll always be forever grateful to just like, give our little pod a chance.
Yeah.
How did it come about that Mark came on the pod? Like, who did you just reach out and were like, hey?
Take it away, Kylie.
So he was he did one of his tweets where he was saying like, what do you want to see out of me content wise this year? Like, what do you want like me to post, share, like stories or whatever. And so I told him what I wanted to see, and I was like, how you go into like each batter, how you approach each batter and stuff. And we were having a conversation about that, and then I was like, hey, if you want to come on the podcast, let me know. Like, I would love to have you. And so he was like, shoot me a DM. I was like, dude, I did like 2 weeks ago, but okay. So
sometimes, again, he gets a lot of messages. I'm sure
he does. Yeah,
he's busy.
But still
keep
sending
sure.
him them because he needs more love and support.
Yeah, so I was like, I already did. And so he was like, hey, I just have to scroll a lot. Sorry.
That's what I'm saying. He gets a lot, but
yeah, he does get a lot, especially after that tweet where he was like, what do you want to see? Shoot me a DM. And so I messaged him.
He also probably got like 20 bots. Being
like,
you should do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he did us, like our episode 13 of ours. Like it's amazing.
Lucky 13. Yes,
clearly.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that was crazy.
I love that.
And he didn't have to. And when he came on, he was just such a great dude. He was just so nice, and he like nothing he says is a waste. He always says like meaningful things at all times.
Yeah.
That's the craziest part.
So
without fail every time.
Anyway, yeah, like I said, he knows we love him, but we love you, Mark.
Yeah. So the one who's impressed me so far is obviously, I'd probably say for spring training, I'd probably say for me, Hall has had a lot better spring training than I expected. Kingery too, Cave especially.
Yes, Kingery's definitely a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, same guys you said. Yeah, Cave, like I said, Kingery, very surprising me a lot. I mean, I'm super happy for him. I would not say I counted him out completely because I'm just not that type of person. Like I'm like, no, they can fulfill a bench role or something. Like we can find something for them.
You're an optimist like us.
Oh yeah.
I've
gotten called out like for that on Twitter by some people being like, you know, like when Mickey Moniak was still here last year, I'm like, no, like he'll be okay. Like he just needs more time. Obviously it worked out for the best because I think, you know, he'll be able to do more with the Angels. But I mean, and also Cody Clemens too.
Yeah.
They've all made it. Oh, and Josh Harrison.
Right. They've
all made it, you know,
very competitive.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was. I mean, Josh Harrison is pretty much a given for the opening day roster. I would be completely shocked if it's Kingery. I don't think they have enough faith in him yet that they're like, okay, we're rostering you. I could see him getting a call up during the season though. I'm definitely not counting that out. But I think they want to see more of like if he can consistently do that in the minors, you know, continuing what he's doing. But you know, I remember reading that he was working with Kevin Long during the off season, so hopefully K Long worked his magic and, you know, Kingery can be a serviceable, you know, bench player again. I would
For
be
sure.
super happy to see that. And I'm sure it would mean a lot to him too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I could see Cave making it too, just because he has that outfield experience.
Mhm.
And I think they want that outfield depth.
They do.
Yeah.
And I remember reading that Hall, they want to get Derek Hall more reps at the plate, especially
Yeah.
with Harper being out. Even though Harper might return sooner now, which
Apparently.
is anyone surprised because this man heals in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
He's
Literally
superhuman.
Superman.
I know he's not real. And if he was watching the World Baseball Classic, it was crazy to me that it's like this USA team, with as stacked as it is or was, they could have had Bryce Harper and they would have won if they had Bryce Harper.
I know. I kept thinking
yeah.
that too. Well, that's another topic we'll want to chat with you about.
Yes. But what about you, Jen, for the players?
Yeah, I think
players out of camp.
Yeah. I feel like earlier on in spring training, like when I was down there at the very beginning, we were talking about Weston Wilson and how he was like really showing up, but then it's honestly it's like ebbed and flowed. And then Carey's been pretty consistent, Hall, but now lately toward the back end of spring training, it really has been Jake Cave just hitting dingers, doing what he needs to do to contribute to the team. Again, which is what they're looking for, especially with the outfield depth, as you were saying. So if I had to pick one right now, I would say him.
Yeah, I would say Hall, Cave, and Harrison.
Yeah.
But right now.
And are there going to be, out of everyone, it's going to be 3?
I always get confused on this. I think for opening day roster, it's 28 players. But I could be wrong. I think it's 28 though. And then it switches, as the year goes on, like they can add more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think opening day it's 28 players. So obviously, you have the whole outfield, the whole infield, the bullpen, the rotation. So it comes down to some difficult decisions. Because they can't have as many as they'll be able to have later in the year. Well, and someone I kind of thought that I think the Phillies, at least at the end of the year last year, seemed to have like confidence in, and especially now with Vierling and Maton gone, which still makes me sad. They seem to like Dalton Guthrie a lot, but he hasn't really blown anybody away during camp. So I'm assuming he's not really in the mix anymore. But it did kind of seem that way at the end of the year, because especially since, he didn't play, or he didn't get many at bats. At least he was more like a defensive replacement. But he was on the postseason rosters, so he was there during the World Series run last year. But yeah, it seems like he's fallen out of favor a little bit just because his performance isn't up to par with everyone else's. But so
it's really crazy because like Sosa's had a really good spring training.
Oh my god, it's Sosa, right?
Obviously, we love Sosa.
Oh, everyone loves Sosa.
Love Sosa.
But he's batting, I'm pretty sure, over 400, I think. And I mean, he was expected to have a bigger role this coming year. And him having, especially with Harper out, so him having the spring training is insane, and will definitely give Stott a break against lefties. And just if he does have some struggles, the sophomore slump, it happens with every player. So, if he does have, need a break or whatever, it's nice to have Sosa right there.
Yeah, and they were testing him in center field.
I love him in center field.
Oh, you saw it in person, Kylie.
I did, and oh my goodness, I love it. I love it.
I do hope that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I still hope that they give Marsh the bulk of starts.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah.
I
Same.
I am anticipating, and I don't know if I'm getting too excited, but I'm anticipating like a big year from Marsh. Because I think he already started to make improvements after the trade last
Yep.
Yeah.
season. So I'm just excited to see what he will do this year. I think he's going to have a good season.
I
But
completely agree. I love Marsh. He waved
me
at me
too.
on Monday. He waved at me.
I'm so happy for you, Kylie.
I could die happy if that happened to me.
I literally said Marsh waved at me. I can die happy. Like I was, because on Monday I sat 3 rows behind home plate. Because I missed her the ticket. I thought it said 103. I was at 109. So it was a happy. It was a happy discovery. But um, he was on deck, and he was like, some woman was being semi obnoxious and just like cheering everybody. Um, like, I get it, go Phillies, but it was a little excessive. Um, and he like acknowledged her, and so then when he kind of looked my way, I was like, hi, and he waved back, and so I can die happy now.
That
I
man was
had to share
that man was destined to be a Philly. Like he just has
dude.
Phillies
personality.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whenever the
And
Phillies post that picture of him just like staring at the camera, like on his side like this, yeah.
that should be the next goal for a guest. Brendan Marsh. Let's do it.
Hey, we're trying. We're trying.
I'm not a
Hey.
regular on this podcast, but I'm saying, come on, let's go.
I'm
We're getting
clipping
Brendan
it. I
Marsh.
am clipping this, and I'm gonna post it, and I'm gonna use this as a way to get Marsh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again,
I will do anything I can to help you.
Yeah.
thank you. We have our, our strategies that we but we've just been like we've shared doing it very organically. So hopefully, yes, we would love to have Brandon Marsh on.
That would be a blast, that podcast. He would make it very
Marsh,
interesting.
if you're watching this, please, you're welcome. Come
Yeah,
on.
you're welcome. Any member of the organization is welcome.
Yeah, anyone. I think he'd be a good interview though.
Oh
For
my
sure.
god, yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
All
right.
So one thing, we know there's been a couple people kind of struggling. Castellanos and Stott have kind of struggled, but I want to point out, because everybody knows Stott is my favorite. He was batting under 100, and now he's batting over 200. So he's improving. I just want everybody to know that. That has
And
to
plus
be
it's spring training.
exactly.
Yeah.
It only counts if they're doing good.
Yeah, see, exactly. That's what I said. Because I mean, it's only spring training if it's bad, and then the World Series run is back on if it's good. That's
Yes.
that's how it
Exactly.
goes.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, again, maybe it's the optimist in me, I don't know. But with spring training, like I'm not worried if it's spring training. I'm just like, they because I mean, Bohm last year did not have a great spring, and he had a good season last year.
Yep.
And now he's tearing the cover off the ball, and I might be even more excited about Bohm's season than I am about Marsh's season. Like Bohm is hitting 25 bombs this year. I don't care. Like
our guy, UK Phillies, he's been a guest of ours too. He keeps saying that as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that's
Yeah, I think
legit.
he made really good improvements last year, and then has made even more improvements over the off season. Like I'm so excited, and him like developing his like power stroke would be awesome, because I know as a prospect, Bohm was like touted as having like, hitting for power, and he still hits the ball hard, but he doesn't really drive the ball like out of the ballpark.
Yes.
So I think him being able to sort of, hit more home runs and stuff like that would be huge.
Yeah.
And as far as Castellanos goes, I'm a big Castellanos fan.
Me too. Love him.
I
We
love
him.
Nick. So I I just find it so like last year was not him. There was something mentally something. I just know that was not him, and I'm not holding that year against him. Like
No.
he's only a season removed from a 34 home run, 100 RBI season. Like I just there's no way that he just forgot how to, hit home runs. I'm like this man is too like he's just too cool. Like he can't not be.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
and that's we've talked about that, Kylie.
Yeah, and I mean, we know for sure Castellanos went through a lot last year. Personally, I mean, his wife had Otto, who is an
Who is
adorable.
the
We
cutest
love.
baby I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh,
He's adorable.
Otto, we love
Um,
you.
his wife is awesome
So
too.
cute.
Like I
Yeah,
said before.
Jess, we love you.
Yeah.
Um, uh, his mom did post that they lost somebody. So
Yeah.
there is that, and he also got hurt like 2 or 3 times. So
Yeah.
he just had so much going on that I'm not worried about him at all.
Yeah. I know he mentioned the thing too about like the whole thing with Ben Simmons' house.
Oh, yeah.
That bothered him. Like he was like, I did not like that. So I'm like,
Well,
maybe
and then now everybody knows where he lives, and like that is such an invasion of privacy.
yeah,
That's
it
what
is-
made him
yeah.
mad.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird thinking about it, like, because it's like, okay, athletes are like people too. Like, just leave them
How would
alone,
you
give
feel
them their
if people leak
privacy.
Yeah,
How
that's
would
like
you feel if people leak yours?
Yeah.
that's like the theme of our podcast too. Honestly, just again showing that
The
they're
Players
human.
podcast.
The Players podcast, because they are more than just
I
players; they're human beings, and so that's why we
I
talk to
know
them
I'm
about it.
almost like too understanding sometimes. Like even sometimes
Right?
like even if it's sometimes on the other team, I'm like, oh man, like if like a pitcher comes in and it's like a team that we don't really have anything against, not like a
Yeah.
Mets team or something like the
Right.
Rockies. Like who cares about them? So it's like if it's a reliever that comes in for the Rockies and they get like freaking shelled, like I low key feel bad a little bit.
See,
Like,
I love it
aw.
when it's my team that's doing the shelling.
True.
Yeah, I'm not on board
but
with
like,
that.
but you of course do. You're just kind of like, well, it sucks for you. Like I do feel bad. Like thank you, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess
But
I know sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, like this player, like their dad just died, and then it's like they just gave up all these runs, and I'm like, ah.
yeah,
Then I
that's when
feel
you're just
bad.
like, oh.
Like I remember last year, you both remember James Norwood.
Yeah.
So he was really, we released him, like he was really bad. But I remember they told this story about him being like, oh, like his dad like passed away not that long ago. So then every time he came in and like people were talking crap about him, I'm like, oh, stop it. Like leave him alone. But yeah, so it's just like the human, it's hard to stop the human in you from coming out. But for some people, apparently it's very easy to suppress that.
Yeah.
Yes, and again, that's why we're trying to not be that way.
Yeah.
You guys
Well,
remember
I
Michael
appreciate
Franco?
Of course.
He always gets released on his birthday.
Yes, I know.
Oh no.
Like
I know.
that's not even a joke. Like he literally got released like by us, or he got traded by whatever happened, or non-tendered by us. He got released by
Basically,
the
it's
Oilers.
always just something always on his birthday.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah.
That's sad.
It's like 3 times in a row.
Yeah. That's crazy. Are the teams like all in on it? Like are they just like, yo, like this
Of all the
They
days.
have to be.
They're like, hey, happy birthday. You're released.
You're released.
Oh my god.
Feels so bad for him too. You're on the birthday, you couldn't have waited one day.
I know.
Like
I guess they're trying to show like, look, this is strictly a baseball decision. Like I don't know, but it does seem a little cruel.
Just a little. But if it's the Mets, the Astros, or the Braves, I hope every pitcher gets chilled at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's different. Those teams, that's much different. Yes.
100%. 100%.
Well, and it'll be interesting this year because the schedule is different.
Yeah.
You'll be playing every single team at least once. So I think that honestly, I'm a little excited about it. Because it felt like in April and May last year we played the Mets at least 500 times.
Mhm.
Dude, it was so
And
hard.
including that horrible game where we blew the 7-run lead.
Oh, yeah.
And also the no-hitter that happened
Mhm.
pretty much within a week of each other, I think. Well, combined no-hitter.
Those were very dark times.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I don't recall either of those two games.
The pre Rob Thompson as manager days. We don't like to
Yeah.
remember them.
No.
The last days of Girardi.
But we were there for that, you know. We were there through the good and bad.
Yeah.
Remember, we've been through it.
Exactly. It helps you appreciate
Yes.
making it to the World Series.
I'm just very bottom line, I'm just very happy that we will not be playing the same teams over and over.
I agree.
Yeah. And people have said, I forget who was on our podcast that said something.
Connor.
Connor. He was in favor of it, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much so in favor of it because, I mean, people have said that it kind of ruins the rivalry a little bit between the two, between the division rivals. And I can definitely see that, and it kind of ruins the AL NL unknown in the World Series kind of thing. So I get that as well, but I like it because I mean, living in the DC area, we'll be able to see the Phillies more,
Yeah.
and obviously, as Phillies fans, we'll be able to see other teams that maybe we wouldn't have been able to see, and players that we wouldn't have been able to see.
Yeah.
So, like, we rarely play the Blue Jays. And so getting to see players like Vladdy is cool to see.
I completely agree with that point because I mean, you play certain teams so much that it's like you start to know their team more, like even better, just as much as your own.
Yep.
And then there's other teams where I'm like, I could not name you like 3 to 5 players on that team. Like
that's the Athletics for me, yeah.
Yeah, it would take me like, well, the A's are, yeah. I mean, they barely qualify. They barely qualify as a baseball team at this point.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them, but yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see like other lineups, other different pitchers, stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I think it'll make for an interesting season, along with all the other changes that are happening.
Do you like the rule changes?
So I have to be honest, the pitch clock I could have done without 100%. I am not one of those people that's like, wow, this game is so slow. Like,
right.
We're the
but
same.
again, I guess if you, I don't know, don't like more baseball, then I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if you are a true, like, you love the sport, then that doesn't matter to you. So I'm not a big fan of that. I don't really see the point of the bigger bases. I mean, I guess something with injuries, but like to me, I'm like, was that really necessary? I don't know. The shift being banned, I think, will be very exciting.
Yes.
Some of it, like, I know they were talking about in spring training, like it's weird seeing the shortstop in the frame the whole time.
Yeah. Yes.
So, because I'm like, wait, how are they on base? And then I'm like, oh wait, that's them playing the position. Yeah, it's so weird because they have to be so far up. So I mean, they're not horrible. Like, the pitch clock isn't awful, but at the same time, like, I think if it's going to like be a problem and like interrupt like really like important moments, then I have a problem with it. Like, because to me, it's like you're taking away moments that could happen, like special iconic moments in the sport.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you struck out because you weren't ready. You weren't in the batter's box in time. Like, to me, that's just stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I at least like, okay, if they have it during the season, like maybe they will get rid of it for the postseason, like they did with the ghost runner rule. Maybe it'll be one of those type of deals. But at the same time, like I feel like the lack of consistency also bothers me. Like, because then
Yeah.
if there's certain games that are decided by something that was a rule in the regular season, but then isn't a rule in the postseason, like that
Yeah.
screws things up. So if that makes sense, I'm like going off on a tangent.
No, I see
but
what you're saying for sure.
yeah,
For sure.
I think MLB needs to like really sit down and like evaluate this. Like, okay, but like, is this actually making more people like baseball, or is it making more people that love baseball turn away from it because it's not the sport that they like, or it's not the sport
Yeah.
they love anymore?
It's an interesting balance between, we talked about this a little bit last week with Kurt Landis, the traditionalists, like the people who, want it to be the same as it's been for decades, and then the people who want to modernize the game. I feel like I'm personally somewhere in between.
Yeah.
I would say I am too. Because I love certain baseball traditions, but at the same time, like, the thing, I feel like you don't hear about it as much, but a couple years ago with the whole unwritten rules thing, like that is an example where I'm like, goodbye. Like, we want nothing to do with that. You
Yeah.
have like old head announcers complaining about players wearing chains and stuff. Like, I'm like, no place for this. Like,
Oh yeah, you can't show any
Yeah.
emotion ever.
Yeah.
I hate
or
those.
they get offended by like bat flips and stuff, like pimping home runs. It's like that makes it exciting. Like, imagine if Reese Hoskins did not slam his bat like he did. I mean, that was like the whole thing that made it exciting. Yeah.
I was at the game.
I'm so jealous.
There.
I was at the JT Inside the Park home run game.
Me too. Me
I was
too.
young.
It was that every time they show it on the one commercial, I'm like, I was there.
I
Yep,
can't
that's how I
believe
feel
it.
with the JT Homer or
Yeah.
the Reese Homer.
I know, it was so exciting, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I already know that they were discussing some of it, like if they were going to change anything before opening day, but it sounds like they're not, which
Yeah, they said they weren't.
yeah, I mean, that would have been too drastic. Like, okay, we're going to change it a week before the season after you already got used to it all spring training. It's like, okay, don't do that, but like, maybe consider for the future. I don't know, but
Yeah. That we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. I want to switch gears a little bit and kind of go back to what we talked about, how you're our first female guest, and again, as an all-female podcast. And I know Haley would want to talk about this too. I'm really interested if you could share your just overall experience and perspective being a woman in the sports industry.
I mean, it's something I've kind of dealt with like since I was a kid.
And when you say, and can you say what you mean? Again, Kylie and I have talked about it a little bit, but when you say dealt with, what are the kind of things you've had to deal with?
I mean, even as, I was in 4th, 5th grade, 6th grade, like, boys, now men, like, kind of testing my knowledge, like seeing if I actually know what I'm talking about. And most
Name
of the
5
time,
players.
Yep.
Yeah,
I gave a
stuff like
whole
that.
rant. I gave a whole rant on this a couple episodes ago. So yeah.
Well, and since it kind of is something you dealt with in like your formative years, like you're always like kind of expecting it low key, and then when people don't, talk to you in that way, it's like so refreshing.
Yeah, you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it shouldn't be a surprise that a woman knows about sports.
Yeah, and now it's kind of been like my personality for so long that like people just kind of know now. It's like, okay, yeah. Like Lauren is, knows about the Phillies, like and I think once I kind of, I got my degree in sports, like I worked for a Philly, a couple Philly sites, people are like, oh, okay, so she's legit. Not that it should have like I should have had to do that to prove it, but it's like, okay, I mean, what are you going to say to me now if I like this is what I do for a living, you know? And it's not something I think has ever like made me feel threatened. Like I kind of just, you know, go into it assuming like people are going to respect me for my opinions, like, and, or, you know, take me at my word. And then if I don't, I'm just like, I'm not indulging this conversation, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's something that I haven't encountered as much recently, luckily. And I didn't encounter it a lot during college. However, when I was in college, like there were only a few girls in my major, which was sports media. You know, so it was mostly all men. I think you know, now the major is like it has more women in it. But when I was there, it was like 3 to 4 of us. So when you were in your classes for your major, I mean, it was like you were outnumbered, you know? And it seemed like they were always kind of the ones talking, like, you know, raising their hand and going on and on and on. And it's like, okay, like, so it did kind of make you feel like it motivated me more. Like I wanted to know more about different topics and different things. Cause like I said, I did kind of like get out of sports for a while. But then I was like, no, like I don't like this. Like I like to be knowledgeable. Like I like to know what I'm talking about. And so it's never made me feel like inferior or anything like that. Like if anything, it's just always motivated me to be better and like learn more. So yeah, I mean, I love it. Like I love, you know, and I love how women in sports all band together. Like
Yes.
I love it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's been a great experience so far. So
My favorite thing is I was asked to name 5 Eagles players, and I named like the entire 53
the
man
whole
roster.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I said too. I'll say part of it again. I like to say, it's the Eagles, would you like me to start with the offense or the defense or special teams? Would you like their jersey number, their position? You know, some of
Their
them.
birthday now. We got their birthdays.
Yeah, the Phillies players, half of them are born in the month of March. So
Yes.
it's probably March.
See March or maybe October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
you know, it's like, don't
I
ask
always like
that.
to flip the script. I'll be like, how about you name 5? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if you're gonna do that to me, like I'm gonna do it to you. Because a lot of the time the people that are asking you, they don't know.
No.
That's what I've encountered a lot in my experience is they didn't know what they were talking about themselves. So I'm like, why are you testing me? Like,
Yeah.
You're a woman.
Yeah.
exactly.
And like I have a Wentz Colts jersey, and I was wearing it at work one day last year, and I was asked if I liked the Colts because of the color.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
Like,
Oh, that's a whole another thing I could rant about.
Yep.
Let's talk, the female attire that they put out. It's better now, but
yeah.
everything being pink all the time, that's also
And like
sexist.
the
Yeah.
women's
The
cut.
curve, yeah.
I'm like, absolutely. I always buy just like the regular jersey.
Yeah, me
I
too.
never,
Men's small or like a child extra large because I don't want a pink jersey that has a V-neck and like, you know,
No.
man, that bothers me so much.
No.
It has
Yeah,
gotten
and
better, but still.
I'm the type of person that like I like wearing jerseys big, you know, like
Yeah.
Me too.
and like then you can wear it over hoodies, stuff like that. So, but yeah, so I'm just like, who is buying this? Like, who actually wears these? But
Right, exactly. People that want to wear things because they think it's cool and not because they actually like it.
Exactly. It's, you know, again, it's not talking crap about like casual fans who want to wear those things. That's fine. You do you, but again, for like people like us who are super fans and like want, you know, just a nice
to work in sports.
Yeah, you know, just want to have a regular jersey that looks like everyone else's. That shouldn't be that much to ask.
Yeah. And it does kind of make me upset because, I have just this is actually sort of off like the women like topic and more just like jerseys.
Sure.
It makes me like the quality of jerseys has gone down so much and
But
it
they're
makes me
still like,
very upset.
but they're still charging you like $100+
Yeah.
dollars.
Because I have my first Phillies jersey I got in 2009 and it was a Bradledge jersey. Surprise, surprise. And now I have a Reese Hoskins powder blue jersey and then I also have a Nick Castellanos jersey. And I'm just like comparing like the Lids jersey versus like the jerseys now and you can tell the difference like in the like the stitching. It's just like it's not as like now more it's just like it's like printed on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not cool. Like I want that, really like authentic jersey,
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure. My first jersey was a Jim Tomey jersey. It's like this big.
Mine was a pink Chase Utley jersey, which someone gave to me, which I think it's like in my childhood bedroom still. Then I got a red pinstripes Utley jersey, which I still wear.
Still wear it?
I used to work at
It doesn't fit all the way.
Store, and so many jerseys would come through there. Like I got so many different player jerseys. Like I got a Roy Halladay jersey that just came through.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like,
I have a Halladay cream one.
A cream one?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome.
Nice. Yeah. Mine is like it's not one of the regular jerseys. Like it's like I don't even know. It's just like a red and bluish one. Like it's like red and it has like blue stripes on it. It's really cool, but it's not like one of the typical like Phillies jerseys. So
sometimes the unique ones are the best ones.
Yeah,
for sure.
Now, God, I still have like that sickness from like a week ago.
Rough.
Are you going to opening day?
I'm not. Last year I went opening weekend. I went the second game of the season, which was really, really fun. I'll make it to a game at some point. I'm hoping because I actually like people always like say like the April games are like boring or whatever, but I actually love it because like every team is still relevant. Like once the playoff like picture kind of starts to come into to form, then it's like no one cares about certain teams anymore unless it's like okay, we're gonna be like trading for certain like I love like I'm like give me all the baseball. Like I want to hear about every team and I'll watch any game. But
that's a great perspective. And
yeah,
I mean, aside from like the first few games, then the at least at Citizens Bank Park, the attendance kind of dies down a little bit. So you have a little bit more room to roam around and do all that fun stuff.
Even though I mean, because of the run last year, I think it should be a little bit more crowded this year.
Me too. Me too.
Which I'm happy about. But
yeah, I think we should definitely expect that.
Yeah, I'm happy about it, but I'm also like, oh, now they're going to be more expensive.
Yep. That's exactly it. I was like, well, I mean, I love that we're good.
Yeah.
But we paid like $40 more for opening day tickets.
Yeah.
Each ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping. I feel like 1 to 2 games a month is always like. I also going to games in like May. That's my ideal time. Because I also just love the month of May, but like the weather's always super super nice.
Not too hot yet.
Yeah, and June you can still get like decent weather too, where it's not too hot. Whereas like July, I've gone to games in July and August where it's rough.
Yeah, I went to one in May.
Beating down on you, but
yeah, I went to one in May where it was 90 degrees.
Oh
actually,
wow!
The Stott walk off and Harper Grand Slam on my birthday. That was like high 80s and really sunny, no clouds. And so myself and my brother and my nephew, there were several points during the game where we have to get up because our seats were not covered. Thankfully, we didn't miss those moments. We were in our seats for those 2 moments.
That's
but
good.
That was a hot day.
I love that was on your birthday.
Oh my gosh, literally one of probably, yeah, I think the best birthday of my life.
I love that. Final thing. What is your hot take to start the season?
Ooh.
Oh wow. Hot take. I am so bad at coming up with like a hot take. Well, I need to give it some thought. Wait, do you guys have one, or am I just sharing mine?
I had one where like I think we'll have at least 3 players with over 30 home runs.
Ooh,
I don't know how hot that is because I mean everybody's really good, but
that's a good one.
It is hard to get to 30 even. So
I also don't know if this is a hot take either, but Trey Turner will finally break the Phillies cycle drought.
Ooh.
It's happening. Because
I would love that.
Me too.
I would be surprised if it didn't happen. I mean, he was made to break it. Him or Brandon Marsh. I could see him or Brandon Marsh breaking it. Because they both got the speed and they can hit for power. So as we saw Trey do in the World Baseball Classic, he needs to save some of it for the regular season. So I'm hoping his hot streak carries over to next week.
Yes, we all are. Man,
at the time of recording, it's 8 days left.
8 days left as of our day of recording. So
did they announce the opening day starter yet? Did I miss that?
I don't think so.
Not officially, no.
Okay.
I can check to see if it's on ESPN, but
well, while Kylie's checking, Lauren, where can everyone find you? What do you want to plug?
Yes.
Well, my Twitter, at Philadelphia. And then I also have a Phillies newsletter on Substack called Phillies Focus.
I'm subscribed.
I did not do one last week, but I'm planning to do one this week. I've been very busy, but I love to produce that newsletter just to, kind of still be able to write about the Phillies, because they're my first love. So, but yeah, so follow me on Twitter, follow the Substack, and yeah.
Awesome.
2 things. 1, it doesn't show, and 2, one final thing. Name 5 players.
Name 5 players in your pink jersey
for the brand.
Oh my goodness. I'll go your route and be like, do you want me to name the infield, the outfield, the bullpen, the rotation?
Bullpen.
Actually, the bullpen I feel like is a toss up. Like, first, actually, I was talking to my dad about this the other day, and does anyone have faith in Craig Kimbrell? Because I don't.
Yes, I do. Full faith.
You do?
Yes.
All right.
I do.
I need that optimism.
I love him so much.
I'm
a guy fan. I love him.
I have like, I don't know. I guess I'm not that I don't have faith, but I'm just like being cautiously optimistic.
It's my hot take.
Is it?
It's Kylie's hot take. Is what she's saying.
Okay. Oh, what my dad asked me was, who do you think would have more saves this year, Kimbrell or Sir Anthony Dominguez?
Kimbrell.
I said Sir Anthony.
I'm gonna say Sir Anthony. And we'll see.
We'll see. We got to revisit this at some point.
But absolutely, Lauren, you and anyone we have on is always welcome to come back on. And we just can't thank you enough for your time.
Yeah, when you have Brandon Marsh on, I will.
Oh yeah.
I'll pop in.
I love it. Like thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
it was a blast.
I love what you guys are doing with an all-female Phillies podcast. I mean, this is great. So thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate you. And we will see everybody next week.
Okay, thanks.
Peace.